it comes to music videos, whenever you get a new brief, you tend to try to reference things, or there's things you want to look at. And when I think of referencing, I think of looking at a piece of imagery or a piece of art and trying to take something from that, whether that's watching a movie, watching a commercial, driving down the street, looking at a billboard, or just searching photos online. So I tend to use things like that to convey an idea and express something new and creative and unique for myself. When it comes to music videos, whenever you get a new brief, you tend to try to reference things, or there's things you want to look at. And when I think of referencing, I think of looking at a piece of imagery or a piece of art and trying to take something from that, whether that's watching a movie, watching a commercial, driving down the street, looking at a billboard, or just searching photos online. So I tend to use things like that to convey an idea and express something new and creative and unique for myself. Whenever I find something that I like as a reference, say it's a photo on Pinterest that I like that draws my attention, I may take the specific lighting from that photo that I like, or the framing, the angle, or it could be the wardrobe that I like from a particular film. I like taking bits and pieces, different elements from these things that have gotten my attention, and just combining them and to make my own aesthetic that fits the video that I'm working on. Something I wouldn't want to do when it comes to referencing a music video or referencing anything is just completely just stealing someone's idea and taking it and using it as your own. A lot of people make art every day and create new things, so the last thing you want to do is just straight up steal someone's idea and then kind of just change the color or change one different element of it. I would say that just stealing something. And if someone could like look at the original and then look at yours and hold them side by side and say, these kind of look very similar, that's kind of not what you want, and that could kind of hurt your rep in the long term. A couple years ago in school, I had a friend that was a photographer, and he would post a bunch of his work on Instagram and social media accounts, just everyday photos, content that he would post that he shot himself. So then one day, I looked on my Instagram, opened my phone, and I saw just a couple photos of models. And I was like, man, these photos are like really, really good. Not that he was a bad photographer, but they were just like professional, just super professional. And he just had a bunch of tags and hashtags and things like that, just trying to draw attention to himself. But then I thought to myself, you know what, like, I know that's not his work. So when I realized it wasn't his work, it kind of, I'm not gonna say it kind of bugged me, but it kind of just made me think twice about how some people could be in the industry just taking credit for other people's work and not put in the work themselves. So it just made me kind of understand the game a little bit, understand the industry, and just see how people are. So at the end of the day, we all steal and reference from each other, but it's to what extent that you're willing to go, what distance you're willing to go to create a piece of art. Don't want to be known for someone that takes other people's stuff and uses it as their own and takes the credit for themselves. You just want to be unique, so it's just to what extent that you're willing to go to create something. When using a reference, the main thing is just taking elements and just using it for your own inspiration and just making it original, making it your own aesthetic and unique to yourself, something that fits yourself. So. I can only speak from my experience and pursuing something that I love, which is film and videos. But at the end of the day, you want to get paid for your work and your hard energy and effort and time spent on your craft. So when I first started out early in the game, it was really hard for me to establish a rate for myself because I didn't have that much experience. I didn't have a portfolio behind me. I didn't have a reel, or in addition to that, I didn't want to toss out a number out there because I was scared that I was gonna scare the client away, and I didn't want to lose a client. So most of the time I ended up, to be honest, doing a lot of things for free or for little to no pay. I'm talking $200. But one day when it all snapped for me and I really figured it out was when I did a gig for about $500 and I spent about 3 days editing, and I did the math, and after about 28 hours of editing in total, you do the math, 500 divided by 28, that's like $17 an hour. So I was barely making above minimum wage, and then I was like, hey man, this isn't cool. Another click it moment for me, when it clicked in my head, was when I would drive 2.5 hours to do a music video and not factor in gas, time, all this stuff. So establishing a rate early on is very key to your success as a director. Some of the ways that I would tell a young director to establish a rate is factoring the time spent that you are doing the video, not just shooting alone, but also editing, and kind of give yourself like an hourly minimum that you want to hit. And those are some of the ways that I was able to find out and establish a rate, whether it's pre-production, shooting, and post-production. So just finding out like an hourly rate and kind of using that on the time spent that you're doing on the video. With each project, of course, you want to try to retain that artist and form a friendship with them. And through forming friendships with them, as you grow, they grow. Also, that comes with the money. So every time I did a video with an artist, that next video would have a higher and higher and higher and higher budget. So through these budgets, I was able to pay myself more, because when I started out, it was literally just me, a DSLR camera, and that was all I had. So with the larger budgets, I was able to afford a crew, I was able to afford a better camera. And as the rate increased, so did our videos, so did everything. Also, another way to kind of get a rate going for yourself and is to just is to over deliver. You do a video that, say, for $500, and you turn that $500 video into something around $1,500 or $2,000. And with that, people are able to see, hey man, how much money did that cost? We'll just overpay you or pay you much more than what you think. So that also worked. And then another example, I guess recently, I started working with an artist who was referred to me through a friend, and they just said, hey man, can you just make a budget for something? Here's my song, make a budget. So I made the budget for the video, and then I made my rate, and they were cool with it. So I haven't looked back since. So one of the things that I learned early on in the game was, with whatever budget I was given, I always like to go above and beyond to make it seem like I was given much more money than what it was. For example, if you gave me $500, I'd make it look like a $1,500 video, $3,000 video. So that way, when people came to me, clients, artists, whoever, they would see that and automatically think it cost a bunch of money. So just off my work alone and working hard and putting out a decent, solid project or product, people knew that my rate was going up. People knew that they had to pay to afford my work. So with whatever budget that you had, I just recommend you just go above and beyond. When it comes to establishing a rate early on, don't be so concerned about getting paid thousands or hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Take whatever budget that you have, whether it's free, whether it's $5, whether it's $100. Take that budget and do your best, because at the end of the day, no one's gonna hire you if you have a bad product. So take whatever money you have and just go full speed and just make the best thing you can create and let your work speak for itself.